Hi, welcome to Business Law TV. I'm your host, Anki Kwan. I'm a California lawyer, and in today's episode, I wanted to talk about what you need to know if you're raising money from your friends and family. People often advise to not mix friends and family with money because money is something that can potentially tear apart a good relationship. This is something to keep in mind when you're raising money because your friends and family may get mad at you if you don't give them their money back. And because of this, it's very important that you comply with the laws that you need to comply with. So even if your friends and family get mad at you, they can't take any legal action against you. And it's also important because if you're raising money and you don't comply with the law, then there are regulators that also can enforce the law against you. And that really isn't something that you want to ever experience. So you want to do what you can, and you want to make a concerted effort to comply with the laws that you need to comply with. I often hear that if you raise money from friends and family, you qualify for a so-called friends and family exemption. So before we get into that, let's talk about a few concepts that you need to know when you're thinking about raising money. There are laws in the United States that are called the securities laws. If you're raising money from someone and they expect to get their money back and they expect to get a return on their investment, then it's likely that you're offering and selling something called a security, and if that's the case, you have to comply with the securities laws. The way that companies usually raise money is they either sell shares of their company. A share of a company is a security, so that means you have to comply with the securities laws. In addition to offering and selling shares of their company, a company can also get a loan from an investor. And loans are also considered securities under the securities laws. So if you are selling shares of your company, or if you're borrowing money for your company from friends and family, you have to comply with the securities laws. In the United States, you have to comply with securities laws on both the federal level and on the state level. On the federal level, you have to either register the offer and sale of your securities, or you have to find an exemption from registration. Normally, companies find an exemption, especially when they're first starting out. It's incredibly expensive to do a registered offering, and you have to hire people called underwriters, and underwriters usually don't touch a company unless they have tens of millions of dollars in revenue, and that's really unlikely for a company in its starting stages. Companies usually find an exemption that they can use to raise money. There are exemptions that you can use to raise money from a group of people called accredited investors. These are people who are wealthy, and there are also exemptions you can use to raise money from people who aren't so wealthy. And these people are called non-accredited investors. In order to qualify as an accredited investor, you simply have to have a certain income and net worth. The income for accredited investors is $200,000 for a single person in the last 2 years. So if a person makes $200,000 a year in the last 2 years, then they're qualified as an accredited investor based on their income. If they're a couple, then the couple has to make $300,000 in the last 2 years. And these people also have to have an expectation that they'll continue making this amount of money. In addition, an accredited investor can be considered accredited based on their net worth. If someone has $1 million, then they're an accredited investor. But this doesn't count their home, so they have to have $1 million exclusive of the residence that they're currently living in. There are laws where you can raise money from accredited investors, and there are also laws where you can raise money from non-accredited investors. If your friends and family are accredited investor, then you can use the laws that allow you to raise money from accredited investors. On the other hand, if your friends and family are non-accredited investors, or if they're a mix of accredited and non-accredited investors, then you have to use the laws that allow you to raise money from non-accredited investors. I won't go into details about how you can raise money from accredited and non-accredited investors in this video. In this video, I just wanted to point out to you that if you're raising money from friends and family, it's very important that you comply with the securities laws. Contrary to popular belief, there's no such thing as a friends and family exemption, and even if you raise money exclusively from friends and family, and even if those friends and families are the founders of the company, you still have to comply with the securities laws. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please share. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!